96.7 KCAL rocks. It is your Thursday meeting. Time to talk some sports with our guy, Pep. Pep, what's going on?
Yo, good morning. Hey, Patrick, I'm going to just air it out for all the KCAL rockers. Something's really bothering me on this Thursday morning, and here it is. We're talking NBA playoffs. And what the NBA does, and I don't like it, is at the end of the regular season, they pick their MVP. So at the end of the regular season, the NBA MVP was Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. He is a great, great player. But is he the best player in the NBA? Is he the most important? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Patrick, but shouldn't the MVP be the guy in the NBA that leads his team maybe to the NBA title or maybe an improbable run through the playoffs? I mean, am I wrong?
I think it's just something that's tough to really quantify because people love to argue. Well, it's the most valuable player. Well, the most valuable player could be on a totally crappy team that does nothing. It's hard to decide exactly because technically, there for a while, it's like LeBron could be the MVP every year if we're going to talk about true value. So I think it's not specifically quantified. And then also, I mean, maybe they should just, you're so influenced by the playoffs. That's the thing is like MVP, and then the playoffs. I'm wondering if should they announce it sooner before the playoffs? So it's a little bit well before the playoffs. So it's a little more clear that it's a regular season award because that's another part of the argument. It's a regular season award. But then you watch the playoffs and then somebody becomes an MVP like performer. I mean, maybe they need a playoffs MVP and a regular season MVP or announce it a little sooner. I don't know, Pep.
Yeah, and I'm going somewhere with this. And I think you're right because, for example, your Seattle Mariners set a baseball record about 20 years ago about winning the most games during the regular season. But does anyone, besides you and Mariner fans, does anyone remember that? Or did they win the Major League Baseball World Series title? No. My Sacramento Kings, they won the Pacific Division title. That was during the regular season. Does anyone care? No, they got bounced in the first round. What I'm saying is, if you're a Laker fan, you know right now on this morning that Nikola Jokic is a huge, huge problem, and he probably should have been the NBA MVP. After that first game, beating the Lakers, he looks like the best player in the NBA. Or what about Jimmy Butler? He's a stone cold dog for the Miami Heat. I just think that you should take the entire body of work, including the playoffs, because the playoffs are what matter. Nobody cares if the Kings won the Pacific Division title. Nobody cares that your Mariners won a Major League record regular season games. We want to see who wins the championship. We're here to win titles, not regular season banners. Joel Embiid is great, but if you're a Lakers fan, you know how good Jokic is of the Denver Nuggets.
No, it's so true. Even the Patriots with Randy Moss when they lost the Super Bowl on the undefeated season, maybe the greatest football team ever.
Yeah.
We remember nothing about that team because they lost.
Yeah. It's about winning the title. So, anyways, Joel Embiid is a great, great player, but the 76ers got bounced. In fact, their head coach, Doc Rivers, got fired, but he's the MVP of the NBA. Right now, I would say Jokic, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James. These are the guys who have put their stamp on the entire season, including the playoffs. So I just had to get that off my back and air it out for everyone to hear because I just think you just look at the regular season, which matters. It does. But I'm in the business of championships, and who's the guy leading my team to a championship? That's the MVP.
True.
So Lakers are down to the Denver Nuggets 1-0. Denver took the first game in Denver, and Nikola Jokic was insane. His stat lines, his triple-doubles are always like ridiculous video game kind of numbers. So we'll see what the Lakers do in Game 2 to somehow prevent him from scoring, passing, rebounding. He does it all.
Also, I mean, the altitude needs to be mentioned. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a game in a high altitude place. I mean, even just for the fans, it says, hey, if you're feeling lightheaded or queasy, and that's for people who aren't even, running and trying to suck air in that high altitude environment, that is a problem. The Nuggets are more used to that, man.
No, it is a real thing. A couple of years ago, I was broadcasting games for the UC Riverside men's basketball team. We played at Air Force in Colorado, not too far from Denver. Same thing, giant sign when you enter the arena. Hey, you are, high altitude is 7,000 whatever feet. If you are not feeling well, tell somebody because you might not be used to this. So, and that's just you walking around. Like, you're right. These are guys running up and down the, sprinting up and down the court time after time. So it's a real thing. It could be a real factor in this series.
Absolutely.
So Lakers are down 1-0. The Miami Heat leading Boston 1-0. And again, Jimmy Butler, man, playoff Jimmy coming to the rescue for the Miami Heat. I can't believe the Miami Heat are actually in this position. When Patrick, you think about all the good teams in the East, I thought it was going to be the Bucks, the Celtics, and probably the 76ers duking it out to see who's going to go to the NBA Finals. But lo and behold, there's the Miami Heat again.
Absolutely. Jimmy Butler, obviously a huge part of that. But I think Eric Spoelstra deserves some credit as well for being a great coach. I mean, they just seem to work so well together. When it comes down to the nitty gritty, Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler, it's as they say, the Heat culture is real. You know what I mean? There's something about that Heat. It's almost Patriot-like in a way, and not similarly, but in their own way they do things. They're believers.
Yeah, when we talk about the echelon, the top teams in the NBA, we're talking Lakers, we're talking Celtics. It's the usual suspects, the traditional powerhouses. But Miami's played Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 of the last 4 years. Like, people sleep on Miami. They are good consistently year after year. And Eric Spoelstra, he came onto the scene when LeBron James was, playing for the Miami Heat. And they had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and they're like, well, anybody could coach this team, right? They got all these superstars. Anybody could do it. But now all those superstars have left, and guess what? The Miami Heat are still good. They're still doing it year after year.
Riley knew he was a great coach, and he was right.
Yeah, he's a great coach, and he's doing it again with probably, at least on paper, a talent-wise, not as good as Boston, but they're still doing it. They're still getting it done, and they took game 1 against Boston. So Denver and Miami, both with 1-game leads now in their conference championship series. But I did want to, we mentioned it real quick, Patrick, the fired NBA coaches. The 76ers fired their coach. The Milwaukee Bucks, who just won the NBA title 2 seasons ago, they fired their guy because they lost in the first round. The Phoenix Suns, they fired their head coach because they brought in Kevin Durant, thought they were going to win the NBA title this year. That was in the bag. So all these really good teams kicking their coaches to the curb.
You ever notice that the NBA Coach of the Year award is like the kiss of death? Like, all these guys that get the NBA Coach of the Year award, the next year they get fired.
I think it's because the bar's so high. Like, okay, we know what you can do. Like, you had a great season. Maybe you won the NBA title. Maybe you had the best regular season record, whatever the case may be. That's the new standard. So if you don't live up to that, if you lose in the first round, if you finish second in your division, you're gone. Like, it's not good enough anymore. Maybe it was good enough when you first got there, but not anymore because you raised the bar.
True.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good teams looking for head coaches right now in the NBA. And Patrick, finally, Major League Baseball a little bit later this morning. The Angels will take on the Orioles. And I just want to give a quick shout out to our guy, Tyler Wells. He is a starting pitcher for the Orioles. He is the pride of Yucaipa High School. He is the pride of Cal State San Bernardino. He leads Major League Baseball in what they call the WHIP. That is walks and hits per innings pitched. And he has the lowest in all of baseball, even better than Shohei Ohtani, who's in the top 5. But Tyler Wells is number 1. He is 3-1 on the season. He's one of the league leaders in strikeouts as well. Like, he's having a great year. And today he gets to face his childhood team, his favorite team growing up, the Angels. And that's, I think, like a 9:35 first pitch, so right about now.
Man, that is so cool, man. So let's watch our boy. I know he's on the Orioles. Doesn't you have to root for the Orioles, but at least if something good's going to happen, at least it can be one of our very own, Yucaipa's own, if you will.
Yeah, and Yucaipa's actually had several guys get to the big leagues. Tyler Wells, just the latest in a long line of T-Birds making it to the pros.
See what I'm saying? That's why we have our guy, Pep. When you're done with your weekend on Monday, we talk to him again and get all caught up. Pep, tell him how to get your stuff.
Get my stuff on Inland Sports, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We got the Inland Sports YouTube channel. Check it out. That's Inland Sports.
Thanks, Pep.